Okay, should be live. And out live. And for how long? What random stream? So we'll give this a go. Okay, so I have just merged all the GitHub stuff. I'm hoping those red squiggles are not actually real. I guess we'll find out shortly. Okay, while it builds, does it run? So this is not necessarily it's not a planned stream. Let's be able to start it up to hit the 7 years. But I do want to look at what comes next and get these next pieces ready so that I can start actually making progress on the deployment. So what I'm doing right this second is I have Claude working away, doing a review of the migration scripts. At this point, I do have some 45 different migrations since the snapshot of the database. So what I want to do is I want to reduce them down so that these scripts contain everything in these migrations. So you're going to see how it does. No drift at all. All this. One thing that jumped out, there's a live LS GitHub database that has no database script. It was created entirely by the migration chain. So the squash isn't purely all changed into existing files. It also a brand new database script. Uh, dump the live schema as the source of truth. Since it's zero drift, the live DB is exactly base plus all 45 migrations applied cleanly. So we're going to use source. What should happen to the 45 migration files and the applied migrations tracking after squashing? Archive and reset baseline. Yeah, so we know what the migrations were. So we're going to condense all these down. So now these become part of these initial scripts because these are just columns and tables that are missing from the root. And then we'll start the migration process again so that I know where we are. Run this and make sure everything's running. Like streaks matter. As long as the streaks maintained out of it. Not that you actually want to watch. How you doing today? It is a rookie streak. Nah. Considering my sporadic streaming recently, my desire to actually uh, get on a schedule again. Yeah. So 7 years, by the way, and you've been around for most of that because you followed June 8th, 2019. So you've been around for all but a week or two of me streaming. So yeah, it's crazy. 7 years. Okay, so let's get uh, just testing this out. Now I've merged it all. So right now everything's merged into development. All the GitHub stuff is merged into development. There's a lot of code in there that needs testing. There's a lot of stuff. Well, Unicus has me beat. Yeah. Unicus, maybe Mr. Anhorn. Can't remember when Mr. Anhorn joined. But you're all very early on. Yeah. Unicus and Anhorn were around before I became affiliate. So it took me a few months to get affiliate. So this is the 7 years of being an affiliate. So, but still, it's crazy. I mean, I know I've taken breaks in there. I know that there's been the quite big lulls, but streaming is not quite what it was 7 years ago. Very different world these days. Yeah, so okay, you can proceed and do that. So what I'm having it do right now is I'm going to have it condense all those scripts in the background. Yeah, I don't use Twitch in the same way. There's not many dev streamers. Not well, there's dev streamers, but there's a lot of game streamers, right? Yeah, I mean, when I signed up to Twitch, I think 20. When was it? When I signed up to Twitch, uh, uh, um, you were late 30s for dev streamers. I picture 20 to 30 age range with 5 years tops. Work experience is the average viewer. Um, I'll find out. Look on your profile. I created the account when I was 33. I've been on Twitch for 13 years. I signed up in 2013. So yeah. Yeah. But it's a very different space these days. Um, I signed up when I was because I've always been interested in gaming, right? So um, Twitch makes sense for me, even at my age. But as a developer, from the dev content, it's not quite the same as it was. So okay, that needs to change. Let's go change that one before we get too far down there. Dashboard. I enabled the Streamlabs bot and didn't check the bot commands. Timers. Remove that one. Got YouTube questions and barely fit. I wonder if I should actually be adopting AI to write code faster. The entire startup scene is likely forced to write all code in AI for both better and worse. Yeah, I think if you are, I'm sticking to my guns with Kaizu. I want it to be a handcrafted. I know the front end is not handcrafted, but the back end, the actual experience is still from me, not delivered by AI. And I still believe that there's some space for that. But I think if you want to build something right now, the only way to do it is AI, sadly. No craft. And some people have argued there's no craft to development anyway, but I disagree with that. But I think you have to just let the tools run at it. I think learning how to use the tools effectively, learning how to constrain it, learning how to uh, you know yeah. People I know who are resistant, totally not totally all in, are similar to me, the big tech and medium tech. I mean, the people at my former job, they are they are pretty much, as far as I understand, they are forced to use that, whether they want to or not. They are using the AI tools, and that's big. So yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's where's my pen gone? Swear I'd lose my bloody head if it wasn't attached. Whatever. I don't need a pen. Uh, yeah, but again, I think in reality, a lot of people like the conversation yesterday, right? The we're no longer writing the code; we're just verifying that the code is written does exactly what we expect it to do. Um, and we avoided the word QA, but essentially we are the first level of QA on does it meet the requirements we were asked to do. So, like to me, I think I'm going faster because I can do the UI stuff with it. I can do the back end pieces of um, uh, managing the DevOpsy components or the scripts and stuff and keeping them in line. Those are things that would take me a long time to do. The coding part isn't that difficult. Yes, it could go a lot faster, but at the same time, I really do love having an understanding of how it's designed, how it's built, and I think that I would lose track of that pretty quick. Just checking these don't have actual errors. Oh, that's a poor naming conflict. That'll have to change in a second. Um, so yeah, mass refactoring tools have been in big tech for like 20 years. It does make mass refactoring basically doable for a large audience. Uh, Refactoring though, when so again, I still have a significant concern over what happens if people are only using the tools and they don't understand what this does. The Amachai video yesterday was basically why bother learning C sharp? Just it's a language. Just use the tools, and you can always pick up the language and stuff if you need. Um, and uh, yeah, So I don't. The question becomes: at what point does any language make sense? Why would anyone pick .NET when Python and React are the out of the box tools for AI? Like if you just tell it, "Hey, build a project," and you don't know what you're asking it to build, what does it start with? It's only because it's got a knowledge of things I've done that it even picks C#. So at that point, if someone starts, well, JavaScript can't lose its foothold, right? Because it is part of the web. So if people are building websites, it's going to be there. But the framework, it's going to, shift heavily to React because that's the one it uses primarily. Yeah, it's once we get past the phase of, like our skill sets start to diminish because we're not learning how to use the tools anymore. We're learning, how to tell the machine to do it. Then the language doesn't actually matter. How it writes it, what it writes, it doesn't matter. We just keep piling on tokens until we actually get the result we expect. I think I don't know what the future of our industry looks like. Um, I guess we'll see. It'd be interesting to see what schools um, do here, because in a world where you don't need to know anything, what do schools teach? Most of the innovation sounds like it's from Google. That would make sense. They have produced some of the largest code bases in that 20 years or more. Google's been around for 30 years. I think the industry is in for a huge headache with junior devs in general. Yes, I agree. Well, that's my exact point. Is if you don't understand the fundamentals, and when I said it yesterday, if you don't understand architecture and design anyway, how do you tell a machine to design an architect? You're completely reliant upon it knowing um, from past experience, from past examples, um, what to do. But at the same time, those past examples get weaker as we move forward. So how do we keep an eye on that? It's just gonna, yeah, it's gonna. Yeah, okay, it's gone now. Does that have the same problem though? Did I do the exact same thing? I did. Oh no, that's scoped differently. Yeah, those are all scoped. This one is internal. Let's stop that running for a second because I'm waiting for the AI to do the other thing. You don't even understand the building blocks though. Once the AI breaks down, they'll struggle hugely to fix the code. I mean, that's the fear. That's my fear. People don't seem to be concerned about that as long as we're going faster. And if PMs are now producing products and former devs are now expected to just maintain it and kind of top it up, yeah, we do have a bit of a brain drain going on in that respect. So, but overall, people don't seem worried. But, but I think if I'm being very honest, this this sort of discussion gets me in a bit of a funk every time, because it just makes me question, why am I even bothering? Like, why do I do this? What is the purpose of everything I'm doing here? Should I just let AI do it and then just sit here streaming me typing in a prompt all the time? Like, what am I actually doing there? I'm just the keyboard operator. Sorry, I've got to do this for my own. Hi Timmy, how you doing? Welcome in. But at the same time, I pull myself out of that funk. I realize that I'm doing this because I love doing this, not because I have to do this. This project alone is a labor of love. It is here because I want to build it, not because I need to build it. So I've got to get rid of the red squiggles. It's just Ryder getting out of whack on some things. But also it is the Kafka configuration every time. My bet is it's this. It's this causing it, because I've repeated the same thing over and over again. Yeah. So if you've not been here before, I am working on Kaizu. Kaizu is a project management and planning application for human beings. It is intended to be a product to help deliver software. That is awesome. So it's built using .NET as a back end and Angular front end. It is a large distributed system spanning many services with a lot of different technologies in place. And the stream is about me sharing some of that journey and being able to learn and grow and share it online. So if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions, if you've been doing this for 5 minutes, 5 years, 5 decades, everyone's welcome to talk and ask questions. It's an open field. Welcome in, Masuvas Vex. How you doing? Thank you for the happy affiliate anniversary. So what I'm doing right now, talking about human beings, is I'm using AI in Kaizu to help me do the front end, because it's not my skill set. I am using AI in kind of the back end management things, like keeping track of scripts and updating Docker Compose files, etc. So I have a lot of Docker components for this system, so I'm using that to do that. Other than that, I am hand coding all the backend components. I did hand code the first version of the UI, but in terms of speed, my skill set is not front end. So this is Kaizu. This is we have 4 concepts: initiatives, planning, implementation, and delivery. Initiatives allow you to kind of define what it is you want to build, like what stuff are we working on right this second. Are we working on delivery schedule? Are we dealing with you know release management? So this is release management that I'm kind of working through right this second. So what I've just completed is GitHub integration. So for GitHub integration, an initiative has deliverables, and deliverables are the actual stories in a traditional sense. It might take a while, as it might be doing database stuff. Waking up. So webhook-based PR detection, task identifier matching, merge PR visibility on tasks, GitHub organization connection, release level merge process. So this is a little bit off, but everything else is there. Honestly, AI is pretty good at front end nowadays. Not the best from like a code structure viewpoint, but it's getting really good in virtually no time. Yeah, I mean, it's very obvious it's an AI generated UI. it has a style to it, right? It's not. I'm not going to pretend this is unique. I've tweaked a little bit of it, but it's not perfect. But um, it's it is there. So deliverables, um, once they are prepared, ready, so this would have acceptance criteria on it, etc. Once they are prepared, ready for developers to start working on, um, the developers would see that in the review implementation, the implementation review phase. Deliverables that are marked as ready for review get shown in here when they're ready for review, not when someone says, "Hey, we're going to have a meeting about this," so that they're available from that point on, right? And then a meeting could be set about them. Um, so we have the ability to click on a deliverable and then see the tasks, the requirements. Sorry, these are the requirements that are laid out. So these have the acceptance criteria on them or whatever they have. Still debating whether I add acceptance criteria as an explicit list or whether you can just type in whatever you want. This supports Markdown, so it's fine. And then the developers add a task, and the task is it can be very small, or it should be very small, really. But it allows us to select the project that it's associated with. So if it's a front end task, it would be front end, and it can be assigned to a team that supports front end. So teams are assigned projects, not it's not one project per team. So if you can, depending on how you want to break it up, what that means is you could have DevOps and um, a development team both have their own sprint boards, both working on tasks associated to a single thing, but then consolidate the view in here. So you know, oh, DevOps has this to do, and the development team has this to do. Once work has been reviewed and the tasks have been added, the backlog can be reviewed and prioritized, and the developers can go in and assign an estimate to it. Any associated tasks are listed here, and then um, right now, you can work through the tasks using the sprint boards. I'm not actively using this right this second, but it is. I'm testing with it, obviously, but I'm not using it to actually plan the software because there's a lot of things changing. So now we have, we can drag and drop. That supports that. It's catching up on everything. That's why it's a little slow. And then the idea is that once we've got all the implementation ready, we start talking about delivery and we can define releases. So releases can be defined as having a name and an owner. This is going to change to coordinator rather than owner. It would be a developer or a manager or whoever is responsible for coordinating that specific release. And then a release date target. That coordinator then goes along and can add tasks to this. They can search for it, whatever. They can add tasks to this release. So when it goes to add release, it will now be there, and now they can do that. As branches are merged, etc., you'll be see the indicator, and you can see the branches are attached to this one. So this is verify working is there, and it was merged. The branch isn't deleted yet, so as far as this software is concerned, it's not deleted yet. Out of whack test data. This would cross out similar to this. So these have been deleted. That one was closed and deleted. That one's merged and deleted. This one's still there, but there's no null. Interesting. Um, yeah, but this is a closed pull request, but the branch is still there, so we might want to make another PR against that one. So basically trying to give the release coordinator an idea of what the phase is, even though something, ultimately these would be complete rather than backlogged by the time we're talking about the release. So, but you should be able to see the status because you could add tasks that make up the release that are in the backlog. They don't have to just be what's in the boards right now. And that is Kaizu in a nutshell for anyone interested. And again, if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to share. Okay, so this should have finished. Did this condense everything? scripts arc. Right, there we go. Migrations. Nice. Yeah, like I said, this is the overview of the application. Frank, good morning. Basically, most systems use Postgres as the backend database. The individual components use Postgres. There is some MongoDB in here. We got some GraphQL. We got some Kafka. Uh, I swapped out SQL Server a couple of months ago to try and make the costs a little bit more manageable once I actually deploy this to somewhere. Yeah, there's quite a lot of technology going on. Kaizu is made up of Liquid Sky and Control Tower. Liquid Sky is all the client facing stuff. Control Tower is the back end management pieces that right now don't have a lot of components there. But this manages subscriptions. So when we actually enable it, we'll be able to manage who's got a active subscription in the back end and control that. So when you sign up right this second, it pushes a message saying, hey, a new tenant's been created, which automatically creates a subscription, which then pushes back and adds that subscription, which activates the system. Without a subscription, you just get, there is nothing. So yeah, so that piece in there. There we go. So what I'm going to do now, everything's merged, everything's dealt with. Let's deal with delete track branch. Yes. That should remove them. Yeah, that's done. That's done. And then do this. Delete track branch. There you go. Done. Okay. How you doing today, Frank? You streaming today? Okay, so now we should have organization management changed, planning changed, task changed, view changed, and LS GitHub was added. Awesome. Sweet. In about 1.5 hours. Nice. And thank you. Yeah, I've been an affiliate for 7 years. Doesn't feel like that long. But I figured I would start a stream up to celebrate it a little bit. Okay, so that's that. So now Git. Okay, so this is going to go on to main. That's fine. Human archive migrations, point it, archived all. So now the database should also have had its apply migrations reset. Interesting. I suppose the name is there, so it won't matter. Archived all migrations for historical reference from dated workforce standing migrations from 46 onward. Okay. Commit. Push. Okay. So I don't know if I'm going to get much started today. So right now, I have, this is the environment it's on. And really it should be not deployed, right? So it's not deployed. So what I'm thinking is the most useful view of this is that you should see where it's deployed currently. Oh dear. I mean that's always the challenge, right? Is when if you're working in a team, doesn't matter which one you're on, just that you're on one. So yeah. Um, so the idea of this is a release has a phase. So in this phase defining, we're determining what is there. We then transition it when we know what's there to a, let me have a look, release phase. Yeah, so defining can move to stabilizing or cancelled. Stabilizing um, um, can move to released or cancelled, and released can't transition to anything other than released, and cancelled can't transition to anything but cancelled. I was doing up mass refactoring tools and found that. Thought it was funny. And how impressed I am by these tools, or how tempted I am to build something. You seem to be very focused on the tooling aspect of software. You're, I don't know whether it's because you want to try and build something that builds better software, or whether you're trying to um, answer the questions. But yeah, I've been enjoying building the AI skills. This is a natural extension. Yeah. The things you got to remember though are that, I mean, as machines are not, as machines are more involved, then it's humans matter less. But when you're trying to do things like, oh, like tabs versus spaces stuff, it's all humans will throw a spanner in the works there, right? To the AI, it doesn't matter. It'll do whatever it's copying. But let's put it bore the crap out of me. Yeah, I mean, again, find your passion, find the thing that you care about the most. My passion when I started this was trying to help development teams be more productive, right? And get them the answers they need by encouraging product management teams to actually define what it is they want. Um, so yeah, there's opportunity. Darren, thank you. Welcome in. How you doing? So I'm trying to work out is what is the minimum amount of work I need to do here to make sure that this demonstrates the idea of being able to say yes, this is released, right? So not deployed is the default state right now. Development is that there's no state transition for this. But also when I first started this, it was kind of like, so there's release phase. Um, why aren't you working out release environment? Is it? Release 20 usages. Deployment state. So deployment state, not deployed, development staging, UAT production. How's it going? Just chilling since uni's over. I'm kind of lost on what to do with all my free time. Free time. um, Now, what I've done is so when I've come to do some of this stuff, I've actually used Claude as a back and forth. Like I've used it as a discussion to kind of brainstorm because I don't have, a team or a product manager to even bounce ideas off of. But now I'm looking at it, I'm wondering how that's actually going to work. Because what I'm trying to determine here is, well, what I'm trying to achieve here is I want to be able to see, oh, there is a release, and I don't want to get too opinionated on branches, so I don't want to attach this to a branch necessarily, which is where I'm scared I might have triggered that by introducing the deployment state. Um, I'm trying to get out of my own way and not be too opinionated, but at the same time, I might have been too opinionated with that. Um, I think for right now, making it um, hmm, I want someone to be able to use this. I don't know who's going to use this at this point, but if anyone is wanting to test this when I put it live, I want someone to be able to say, yeah, I can mark this delivery as done. Or this release as completed. And that might be just a case or cancelled rather. So I have release phase. So defining is right now. Stabilizing is what we transition it to once we're ready. You need someone building a product, in my opinion. I've tried to use it in the past, but because I'm solo side project developing it. No, you can't. That's the big challenge of developing it the way I am, is that I'm not a team developing it, which means even dog fooding it, I can't even demonstrate a lot of the ideas properly. And what I'm trying to do is not be too opinionated about certain things so that I'm trying to be opinionated about the workflow, but flexible on the structuring enough to allow people to adapt and change it if they use it. You can discard Epic's task storage, right? We've been rewriting, discarding a lot of Epic stories lately. You mean from a process perspective? You mean like, is it wrong to delete them, or? Um, I mean, uh, it, no, it's not wrong to delete them. You should always show what it is you're actually going to work on. Um, this epic is written too technically; it needs to be rewritten. Yeah, then yeah. So again, that's why I'm trying to split the technical part down to this part, right? So that the tasks that get generated are actually the technical components. The delivery, the deliverables themselves are the representation of the business requirements, so that there's that gap, then it's bridged at this point rather than being a technical description here. Now, again, because I'm doing technical stuff, I can't avoid technical discussion here. Um, um, oh, we need another ticket. Let's duplicate some ticket and add to it. I don't like the duplicate ticket thing because oftentimes that it's the copy and paste problem, right? You end up with a bit of a mess. If you've got stepped over um, um, requirements, or some requirements carry over. Um, yeah. So anyway, uh, yeah, you shouldn't be afraid to clean things up, right? Like right now, I don't have delete. Delete is not in this world, and also, what does it mean for something to be completed? Does it disappear from view? Can you find it ever again? How do you do? There's all sorts of questions like that I need to answer eventually. Um, but yeah, there's actually backlog once. Uh, it, I mean, you've technically got that, haven't you? What are you treating as mass refactoring? You've got those. You've got your skills already that do the hey, your variable names are weird, whatever. Isn't the next step basically taking it and saying apply it? Or are you talking about refactorings as in all sorts of uh, organization stuff? Yeah. Nightlight, thank you very much. Marcus, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, it seems to be an area you're fascinated in. I would highly recommend chasing it down. With what you're passionate about, right? What determines? Actually, I think I know this one. This one is a simple one. This one I should be able to do. Um, so we have a state on the deliverable. So I determine state versus phase. As a phase moves forward, a state can move to whatever it can transition back and forth, right? So like the release phase is a phase. It shouldn't move. You shouldn't move it from stabilizing to defining, right? It should be defining until you're comfortable it's ready, and then it should be stabilizing. And if you get it wrong, you cancel it. Um, Mojo, good morning. Um, I think I want to do that. I want to do something easier here to help display this differently. So right now, when a task is started on a requirement that is for a deliverable, then technically this is in progress. This is no longer like we have 2 of 4 tasks complete, right? So this is implicitly moved to a in progress state. Did I introduce that? Deliverable state. Oh, I call it status. Pardon me. Sorry. Um, hmm, I did. Let us bring up. Let's bring up Claude. Let us review that with Claude. Projects, Kaizu. release definition page, tasks. So what I'm trying to do is, again, I'm not trying to plan for the future too far on most of these things. I'm trying to make sure I'm doing just what's necessary to to get it to where it is. And what I'm thinking right now is what I want to do is, before we go to the point of getting the delivery ready, I want to make sure that I can do this in progress. So the backlog and the in progress tabs will look almost identical. The only difference is this won't matter. The review dates won't matter. Because it's in progress, right? Well, the review dates might matter. Review date means something different in context of a deliverable. So the idea of the review date is, when do we want to check in on this thing, right? So um, in terms of deliverables, it's okay. You need to get this stuff ready by this point, or it's kind of a reminder for the product management teams to be able to see, oh, I need to uh, check on this sooner. So that's the concept there. But what I'm thinking is, once it's gone from ready for review, once work begins on it, it will transition out of here and move to in progress. And in progress will be almost an identical view. That would then allow us to um, see the things that are actually in progress versus the things that are needing planning. I just want to refresh my memory. Again, I've used Claude a lot to do the back and forth discussion, the stuff that to replace the team, I suppose, in terms of conversation. Um, um, so right now it doesn't even know a complete status, right? So once all the tasks are complete on a deliverable, so once all the requirements are met and done, what does complete mean? How do we know what testing looks like? There's all sorts of questions there. I'm not going to panic too much about that part right this second, but in progress would be good. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just asking Claude, hey, go through the conversation we had and just review that and see if I defined anything. Because there's a few times where I've said, oh, I want to mark deliveries as complete. It's like, whoa, that's a bit of a contradiction to what you did previously. Or I say, hey, I want to introduce AI. It's like, whoa, hold on, you said that you don't want to do that. So I've tuned the prompt to be to push back on everything. In planning and progress review, complete cancel, and it's still uh, is what can go to planning? Right. So defining is in the phase of defining deliverables as part of the initiative. Planning is okay. Now we're going to actually figure out what the acceptance criteria, etc., are, and then ready for review is now the development team can look at it. So something could go from ready for review back to planning, because the development team could push back on the ready for review state and say, oh, well, we're missing these requirements. We don't want this. We want to change this. And then it goes back to planning. It's not in the defining phase anymore because we know where we need it. It's been defined as what we need. Just need to refine how we're doing it. So that's the planning phase. When once a task is started on this, after it's ready for review, do we have a ready for development phase though? I think we probably do, don't we? And then it's transitioned to in progress once a task is started on it. But ready for development would move it to the in progress. Um, yeah. Oh, there's the sun. It's that time of year again. Finds. Because once you move, so again, what you want to do ideally is you want to be able to see, hey, these are the things that we actually have that are ready for development. We know what things are going to be worked on. We don't know the timeline yet, but that would be indicated by information on the task, right? So in the planning, we're going here. We could say we could indicate the sprint that it's set in, right? So we know, oh, it's due in sprint 3, and we're in sprint 1 right now. So we know it's going to be planned. If something's sat in progress in ready for development and it has no sprints attached to any of the tasks, then it's like when's this stuff going in? But the idea would be that once you review this and everything's good, the deliverable can be moved to ready for development, right? So we'd do it in here. This piece would be reviewed by the PM and the development teams. They'd be going through it together, going through the planning, making sure everyone knows what they're doing, and agrees upon what's being produced. Sun. Um, yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. And if the development team don't agree, we'd also be able to shift it back to planning, uh, so that it removes it from the review phase and then it doesn't get picked up. I still have some permissions around that though. Indicates the requirements have been accepted and the development team is ready to work on it, so it can be planned. Um, Again, complete here means, I think complete is only a state that can be decided by a PM. like, yeah, this is done. We've finished everything on this. I'm happy. It's done. Um, we're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to. Or we like, at some point the release that these tasks are like it's going to have to list the releases that these tasks are in, and be able to show the status of them, because only when the status of all the tasks are released can you say, yeah, this deliverable is done, it's delivered. Again, trying to introduce that level of visibility at every level so that you level at level. Interesting. Um, my entire goal of this project is to make sure that people don't have to ask questions all the time, right? That they don't have to. Interesting. That must have been an early one. The I think that still works. Ref is invalid. Yeah, that's because that's been deleted and it doesn't know about it yet. Oh, yeah. I think the flow made sense, but your own model just told you something important about delivery one. I want to flag it before you build it. Ready for review is a gate and gates reject. The point of handling requirements to the dev team is that they can come back with this isn't ready, go refine this criteria. That's the transition backwards into planning. The moment you have that, deliverable is no longer forward only. It's a state, not a phase. And there's a clean pattern hiding in that worth noticing. Your coordination layers are phases. They're forward based, forward biased because leadership cares about maturity. Your work definition execution layers are states because real work bounces. If that holds, it's a tidy bit of ubiquitous language is split as an arbitrary. So yeah, this should be state, not status. Task has ready for development and in progress. Right. So task state is slightly different though there. So um, the deliverable can be ready for development, but the tasks could be backlogged, right? Because the deliverable is everything's ready for development to do, the task can be backlogged. But then we can point it and move it to ready for development to be picked out into a sprint. And it can't be transitioned to in progress here because only when it moves to a board or to a sprint can be moved as in progress. And in progress is a state of here. So once it's moved to ready for development, it can be placed in here. Can you transition a? Oh, that's assigned to a sprint anyway. So um, so that's a refinement we're going to make. Gotta be careful. Don't just add refinements here because ultimately I want to be able to say, "Hey, show me the ones that aren't in a sprint. Show me the ones that are in a sprint." Um, hmm, I have some challenges here. Um, Um, so deliverable here, a deliverable ready for development state simply means that it's been passed to the development team. The development team coordinate the work. A task can still, because that this review phase is for the developers to identify the tasks. These tasks might still change, but it's them agreeing, yes, we understand what it is we're building. We might add tasks, we might do more. It doesn't change much about the state. It's like once they've agreed upon the requirements, it's the development team. This is the kind of the passing the ball piece. Marking this is ready for development means that the development team's got it. They understand the requirements. They're comfortable with this thing. It's where it sits. Maybe. Hello. How you doing? Thank you very much. So apparently, I have streamed for 2,058 hours, which is not a lot. Um, Especially not recently. Um, 916 of those hours were in the original Science and Technology channel before we had software and game development as well. Yeah, I've streamed for 2,000 hours today. It's been a long day. So, started today with merging all the GitHub stuff that I've been working on. So, all that's now at a good point. What I'm doing right now is just going back over and kind of reviewing and analyzing some of the pieces that um, I'm putting together to see if it actually will flow. Um, if I was to release this, because I want to get to delivery. So delivery, I want to be able to say, yeah, this release is complete at the in the very first iteration. I don't want to necessarily mess around with states or phases, etc. I want to just say, yep, this is done, and move this to a complete state. And it's testable if people want to test. So what I'm doing right this second is trying to figure out, does it all work? Apparently, I can order FIFA World Cup tickets through Dash Pass. That's awesome. I don't want to go see. I don't want to travel up to North Jersey to watch football. Um, yeah. Okay. Mm-mm. So this weekend, I might actually start up a gaming stream again. I was enjoying playing Lego Batman. I do want to play more Pragmata as well. I have played a little bit more off stream. I didn't do much though. I went back and got some of the extra pickups on some of the other pieces I missed. um, oh, nice. Respond, Claude. Respond. Um, so I think I might start a game stream up tomorrow at some point. Um, you got 007. That's I was resisting spending another $70 on another game after I spent on two games last weekend. How is it? Can you tell Mojo forward? I'm not talking to him. Yeah, I will do. Don't worry. Um, what about you? Maybe are you getting any streams up this weekend at all? Are you streaming today? You streamed a few days in the week, right? I can't tell whether you've got a routine yet. Fair, I can see the concepts are genuinely distinct and the interlock is actually clean. While the deliverable sits there, it's ready for development state, it's tasked living backlog and can get refined up to they're ready for development so they can be pulled into a sprint. The two terms operate at different granularities. You're right that it's not a true collision, but I'd still push on the word for two reasons. Uh, tell maybe that you need to talk to me. Will do. I'm going to stream today, but I don't want to stream BF and I don't want have anything to work. Well, I want to work on. Plus, I'm kind of deflated by something Google have done. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Well, I got tired. All that work you were doing yesterday. Um, boss said you had to talk to me. I'm not the boss of him. Um, okay. This is the problem with starting the stream up when I was in the I don't quite know what I want to work on mode myself. So I've tidied things up. Everything's merged. So I've got all the GitHub stuff done now. Well, to a point. Um, um, but I'm trying to. I'm fighting the internal debate of which piece do I want to work on next versus, um, yeah. Was when I started, I was actually thinking, hey, maybe I'll work on the delivery piece, like getting this complete. But then when I started looking at the delivery piece at the beginning of the stream, I'm realizing that there's things missing that I don't want to deal with yet. So, um, what Claude's doing right now is, again, I have this conversation going, and Claude has context of the project at this point, right? Which is weird because what happens is when I start a new chat outside of the project, it always brings everything back to Liquid Sky. So all information is skewed towards what Liquid Sky does, which is driving me crazy because it means I can't have an independent conversation. um, so yeah, baby, don't be a baby. uh, but anyway, I've got a limited hour and a half anyway, so it doesn't really. It was okay um, to start. It's the memory setting. Uh, memory setting from where? What do you mean? Yes. Well, I only want it to forget things. I want it to have context in the project. I do not want it to have context outside of the project necessarily. Uh, right. Allow Claude to search. I see it now. Yeah. Will that keep it in the project? Interesting. That's interesting seeing its memory about me. That's funny. Um, I was just reading that. I'll read that later. For me, all roads lead back to BF. I have other projects, but I need to do work on BS. So anytime I have really uh, free, really should work on that. Otherwise, it gets more delayed. Um, yeah, I just saw the memory. I mean, yeah, everything's Kaizu, right? For me, everything's Kaizu. Um, the game library stuff is all AI built because it gives me the time back to do Kaizu. Um, I get that. Uh, I should use AI to do developers.stream and get that working again. But being that that's a diminishing, that's a dwindling number, that might not be as productive as I want it to be either. Um, the problem I have at this point maybe is the fact that the product itself is not built for me being a solo dev. I'm building a product that, unless I have other people working with me, I can't really flex this in the same way. In terms of what I need to do, I have done some of this stuff, right? So release management and visibility, right? So we have 4 deliverables under release management and delivery visibility. I picked a massive project to build on stream, yes. Um, so task state lifecycle handling, task state follows a defined lifecycle with validated transitions. The specific states and allowed transitions should be formalized from the current partial implementation. This is all using um, well, I'm at that point where there's so many different aspects I could work on that it's now hit actual product size. Um, so there's things like the changes. Like, so when I make changes to things, I want them to be tracked, and there's an actual system in the background that I need to refine to tighten that up. Um, if there's release management, delivery, all those things that I want to handle. Um, yeah, there's all sorts of different things I need to tackle. So yeah, um, yeah, Mojo's slacking today. He's taking a day off work. But he could be there. Every task as a system generate. So again, I've done these things. So I have tracked some of this stuff in here. Um, why does it not read only view appear? This is one of the benefits. Task in the Okay. So yeah, I do have some of it tracked in here. Progress roll up and visibility, initiative progress via delivered roll up, requirement completion derived from tasks. So again with timing, yeah. Um, huh? Am I lost somewhere? Um, yes, I want to proceed. Just just go auto mode. You're fine. Just delete my machine. It's fine. Initiative state moves automatically to in planning when deliverables begin to be fine. So yeah, I have done some of this prep. I need to make that navigate back. Um, Canceling a release, unlinks, audit trails. Yeah, so I could do cancel release, but I think what I want to do. So Claude's pushback on the um, um, yeah. Um, yeah, so basically Claude's pushback on this was when we go to implementation review here and we work on this, that I would transition it to handed to development or uh, in development planning or with development. So basically, the responsibility is passed, which is fair. Um, but yeah, that's an interesting distinction. So right now I have ready for development, ready for review. So I don't even have ready for development. So this next phase could be public, static, read only. Uh, I also need to name this deliverable state, not status, with development. Again, so that anyone looking at this can say, "Oh, that deliverable is actually with development right this second." And then when it moves to in progress, it would shift its progress state. No, I didn't say a task open. I said a. Oh my goodness me, English is doing the wrong thing. It misinterprets what I said. When I click on a task in the deliverable detail page, I thought it had. I thought I had it set to show the read-only task view. This does not appear to be behaving this way. It should not allow me to edit the task from this view. Right? It interpreted that to mean that I was saying that it was popping up and that it was allowing me to edit it. So now it's changing the code to adapt to that scenario. It's like, no, it doesn't actually do that. So let's, so, um, yeah, it mm. So let's correct that path before I finish that one out. Okay. Well, do not forget at um, 9 o'clock Eastern time in about 30 minutes. Frank will go live. Don't know what he'll be working on today, but always worth checking out Frank's stream. It's a great place to go and hang out and chill. Um, yeah, there we go. It's now doing what I wanted to do. So let's finish the stream with some change. There you go. That's what I wanted to do. I thought it was doing that. Oh no, that's on that one. Hold on. Planning, backlog, here, release management. Finding one that I have tasks on there. There you go. There you go. That's what it should have done. That's what it should have been doing all along. It shouldn't allow me to edit it. It should only allow me to see that the task is there. So there we go. Okay, so I suppose the next phase is me getting that ready for development or with development state in there. So that would mean that in here, when we do this review, we'd be able to say review and say, yeah, is it ready for development? Yes or no. Should it be switched back to in planning? And then from there, that would then give us the ability to build the in progress screen out, because once it's with development, it moves to in progress, because as far as planning goes, it is in progress. The review date then could still be used, because the review date would say, hey, I want to review it, in a week to see where it is, so that you can keep track of where that deliverable actually sits, and not that I hand it to development, right? Um, that's quite a common thing. Um, yeah. Okay. Well, this was an impromptu stream. I do apologize; it cannot be longer, but I figured it was worth doing to celebrate 7 years as an affiliate. And yeah. So why don't we go to? Who do we go to last? We need more .NET developers. That's a lot of noise to go to. We'll go to AOA. So AAOA is a designer, and a very good one at that. I will be back on Monday with more of this. Actually, some development on Monday. I'm going to do a little bit over the weekend if I can get this lined up and ready to do. So we're going to transition an item from ready to review into with development, or back into planning. We'll then, once it's with development, we'll get the in progress screen working. So anything that's with development anything beyond ready for review will be filtered out of here, and in progress would show with development and in progress and completed. Actually, in progress. And that will give us something then to focus on, which will allow us to transition things through the right phases here. Because as we get to, what I'm trying to do is deliver this without overthinking it, but at some point it will make things more confusing, and I'll have to figure out how to, because in planning happens once things start to be in planning, right? These phases are kind of implemented by um, um, things changing. So completed here is a long way away, but it will make it more confusing what these phases really mean for people. So what I'll have to do is probably clear out the database, rebuild a few sample initiatives in there, and seed that as the actual default, so it demonstrates what's going on. But yeah, okay, so cool. Let's go raid AOA. I will be back on Monday. I will be on TBD Developer over the weekend, more than likely. If you want to check out a game stream. Yeah. So let's go right away, and I will see you again next week. Thank you all for joining me. Take care. Have a great weekend. I'll see you again. Bye all.